What's up, A to Z Sports on a game day, the second Titans game day of the season. I'm Austin Stanley with Easton Freeze. Titan Game Day live off for the pregame show, just 30 minutes away from kickoff, the home opener for the 2024 season for the Titans, hosting Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. Going to have a good conversation here because both teams are 0-1 with a lot of the future on the line. Will Levis, a disastrous end to week one's opener in Chicago. We've talked so many times about that. And Aaron Rodgers and the Jets lose at the San Francisco 49ers by a lot without Christian McCaffrey. And that was an 0-1 hole that the Jets are in with a lot of expectations. The future is on the line. Going to have a fun show this morning on the pregame. Before we get going officially, Easton, welcome the people in and tell them what they got to do before we officially get rolling here on a really good intro topic, I must say. I think we've cooked up something pretty nice here for Titans versus Jets. Let's get it going.
Hello, people. Welcome into the pregame show. We are here with you all day long, and we want you to be with us live pregame, halftime show, and then the postgame show, breaking it all down. If you're here with us live already, we appreciate you being here. Help us get as many live eyeballs on today's show as humanly possible by hitting retweet, hitting like. If you're watching with us on YouTube, which you should be, or Facebook, make sure you're hitting that like button there. That's the easiest way you can help us with the algorithms and all these things that are nobody really understands them, but it sure helps keep people's eyes on it if you hit the like button, and it takes you one click. It's nothing. So help us out. Hit like, hit subscribe, send the link to a friend. Say, hey, get ready for the Titans game by watching these guys break it down. I think you'll enjoy it. Of course they will. Help us out by sharing it any way that you can.
Absolutely. Let's get it going officially. Welcome into Titan Game Day Live, the pregame show. I'm Austin Stanley alongside Easton Freeze, our new Titans reporter for A to Z Sports.com. And I got to thank our partners for our Titan Game Day Live this season. X-Golf Nashville and also now in Murfreesboro, back for another season with A to Z Sports. They are the home of indoor golf in Middle Tennessee. X-Golf, play, train, entertain. To book an appointment and a fun time, go to playxgolf.com. BetMGM, log in today to get your Pro Football Boost Pack to acquire tokens for more winnings. I did that this morning. BetMGM, an official partner of the Tennessee Titans. And TDOT, be part of the solution to end littering and make sure nobody trashes Tennessee, especially on game day. Visit nobodytrashestennessee.com. So, Easton, we've spent way too much time breaking down how much blame was it on Will Levis for the loss of the Bears?
That poor dead horse, man. He is a puddle
all
on the
this
ground.
stuff. I mean, it just made it worse that this delivered this week instead of the week before, because now everybody who ordered the Will Levis number 8 got the extra stink on it because
somebody should have
the
thought that
Bears
through,
game.
and that was poor marketing.
Yeah, do that before. But anyway, we're past that now, right? Like, we have to be past that because the New York Jets are in town coming off a loss themselves. Aaron Rodgers did not look great either in the season opener. Passing was down a lot over the league as a whole. So look, it could be a lot worse. You could be the Panthers, but anyway, you don't want to go 0-2. And so I think the interesting discussion that we've cooked up for this pregame show off the top, because we're going to get to our X-Golf X Factors. We're going to get to our BetMGM bets. I've got 2 this week before we get to our official game predictions. But Easton, I think we all kind of know the stat, the 0-2 stat. So if you could lay out the stat about teams that start 0-2, let's say within the last 34 years.
Yeah, you hear it every year heading into week 2 for all the teams that half the league that started out with a loss. If you start 0-2 in the NFL, dating back to, I think, the 90s is what this data set is, you got about an 11% chance if you are in the whole 2 games to begin the year. Unless you're the Bengals, which they have done it a couple times recently. They've kind of skewed that data set a little bit. Your odds are very, very low. So getting a win in week 2 after a week 1 loss is paramount.
It is. And so both teams have the fear of starting 0-2. And so here's the topic out of the gates we want to ask you guys, because I think this is really interesting. Who has more to lose with an 0-2 start in this season? Is it Aaron Rodgers or is it Will Levis? Because I think this is a very interesting question, because off the top, on surface level, you're like, oh, like the Titans, right? But I think, as Jake says, immediately says, oh, Will Levis has more to lose. But the Tennessee Titans really don't have playoff expectations. If a Titans fan thinks this team can make the playoffs, that's fine. I think you're okay.
They have playoff hopes, not expectations.
Exactly. That's a very good way to put it. The Jets have playoff expectations. They had playoff expectations that lasted 4 plays last season, and now they're back with playoff expectations again. And if they lose at the Titans, now they just have 11% chance to make the playoffs. So I think it's a very interesting question. And Easton, I'll go ahead and send you to the chat because comments are rolling in here.
Mm-hmm.
Who has more to lose with an 0-2 start to the season, Aaron Rodgers or Will Levis?
Yeah, when you initially in the pre-show asked this question, I did what a lot of the folks in the comments did. I thought it's Levis, like Jake and Jody and Jody twice and Samantha and Roberto all said, of course, we're talking about a future Hall of Famer in Aaron Rodgers. His legacy is not going to ride on this game, and he's certainly not getting benched if they start 0-2. Will Levis also not getting benched if they start 0-2, but he's at much higher risk to lose his job. And after I finished preemptively rolling my eyes, I thought about it for a minute, and I came around to what some of the other folks in the chat have said, like Trey and Regina and Eric and Samantha have all said that maybe it's Rodgers because, like you said at the top here, the playoff hopes rest with the Titans. The playoff expectations are in the Jets' court. And really, the Jets, I mean, many prominent Jets fans have Super Bowl hopes with this team. Yeah. They think as long as you've got Aaron Rodgers healthy and at the helm, this team is good enough to go all the way. And so starting 0-2 for them, just purely in terms of playoff potential, you're right. That makes things really, really difficult. And I don't know if anybody's looked at the Jets' schedule to begin the year. It's not easy. This is about this Titans game. I think most Jets fans look at this Titans game as one of, if not the easiest stop they have in their first 8, 9, 10 games. For starters, this is the second leg of a 3-game stretch they're starting their season off with, where they're playing 3 games in 11 days, right? Because they played on Monday Night Football in week 1. They're playing today at noon, and then they're on Thursday Night Football later this week. So they are grinding to begin the year. They could be 0-3 in a hurry if they were to lose this game to the Titans. And then they've got a lot of really, really strong opponents down the stretch. So I think many Jets fans and players look at this game as almost a must-win if they're going to achieve what they think that they can this year.
And so a couple interesting comments I got here. Jacob on YouTube says Jets coaching staff has more to lose. They'll get fired.
They will. It's true. I mean, not based on this game.
Yeah. They're not going to get fired at 0-2, but they could not make it through the season. I think Robert Saleh is probably one of the coaches that you have to put on the list of who's likely to get fired before the regular season ends. I think that's fair because if it doesn't go well, I see Ryan say, if the Titans win today, you can erase last week. Conference games are huge. Mm-hmm. And I mean, erase last week, I don't know. But
you can move on.
And because of what's happened the last couple of weeks with opposing quarterbacks, with Jordan Love getting hurt in Brazil a couple Fridays ago, and the Titans play the Packers next week, and then Tua getting hurt with a concussion, a very serious, significant, scary concussion Thursday night. That's another potentially Malik Willis and Skylar Thompson are the 2 quarterbacks you're playing after Aaron Rodgers. So even if the Titans lose this game, you're looking at 2 games that are a lot more winnable than maybe you thought when the schedule was released, and maybe than you thought about 15 days ago. And so I think the Jets are my official answer. They have way more to lose today than the Tennessee Titans do. And I think I'm curious is that your official answer too? Easton, I know we've talked both sides of it.
The same chord that I was striking all week long and in the post game last week about how, the way that you lose is certainly frustrating and you don't want to see Levis look bad and all of these things. But in terms of just pure wins and losses, I came into the season, I think rational people came into the season being patient with this Titans team. And so I looked at these first 4 games like I think you did, Austin, and said they need to win, probably 1 or 2 of them. I wouldn't be surprised if they start 1-3. They're going to start slow, and it's more about how they look than about whether or not they're winning or losing. So yes, the Jets need to win now. If the Titans lose this game, it'll be disappointing, but it won't be, I think, too far off of their schedule, if that makes sense.
Yeah, speaking of schedule, Malachi said the schedule did the Jets dirty. Monday night to start, short week to follow, then a Thursday night with a short week. And that's not even talking about where the games are played. In California, Northern California, fly back to New York, then go down to Nashville. They haven't played a home game yet until Thursday night, week 3. So, yeah, NB says, where is everyone watching the game? Is it televised locally? Yes, CBS has the game today. Iron Eagle is on the call as well. And Paige with a comment praying that Levis has learned his lesson last week. I mean, you do all you want. Surrender Cobra Levis is something that hopefully is not seen by many cameras over the course of the season moving forward after that epic shot that got captured last week with the flick six, as they're calling it. Cristoforo says Callahan's first win today. And I think that would be a great first win, right? To start off with your first win at home against the New York Jets with Aaron Rodgers after what was last week. So it would be a great opportunity for Brian Callahan to get his first win. So Easton, let's go ahead and ask another question to the audience, and that is the X Factor, brought to you by X Golf Nashville and Murfreesboro. Who or what will be the X factor for a Titans win today? So drop it in the chat again. A lot of engagement this morning from you guys here on the home opener day. So drop it in the chat. Who or what will be the X factor for a Titans win over the Jets today at Nissan Stadium? But first, let me tell you guys about the home of indoor golf in Middle Tennessee. That is X Golf Nashville and Murfreesboro. Just opened up in Murfreesboro this past offseason for the NFL. X Golf Nashville was with us last year, and they have reinvented the player experience by creating the most accurate indoor golf simulators on the market today, giving every person the power to take on the world's top courses, compete in a wide variety of game formats. You can improve your swing with lessons and analytics, all while being totally entertained, because X Golf Nashville is a full sports bar. It's a sports bar with golf simulator bays, and golf simulator bays where you don't have to bend down and tee up your own ball.
Supreme laziness.
You just put it right there and you tap a button with your club head, and then your tee is appropriately placed for you for the next swing. And then you can turn around and then grab your drink of choice. And then there's also TVs everywhere. So X Golf Nashville and Murfreesboro is where you should go. They do a lot of fun things on Monday nights and Thursday nights throughout the NFL season. So make sure that you and your friends have a chance to go check out X Golf Nashville and in Murfreesboro, new now, and hit them up at playxgolf.com.
Turn to the chat here to answer our question about who the X factor is today. Seeing a lot of different answers. I'm curious to see how far I get down the list here before I agree with somebody. Todd comes in with Ridley. Chandler thinks it's the running back duo. Jake's expecting a comeback day for DeAndre Hopkins. God's Child says Jeffrey Simmons needs to have a big day. Jair, special teams, certainly the bar on the floor for them. They need to have a better performance. Awuzie, Jesse says, which is an interesting answer.
That is interesting.
Thanks as Hopkins. Clayton, all over it with turnovers. Turnovers do, in fact, win and lose ball games. So that is always an X factor. Let's see who was the first person that I agree with here, because I saw it. Here we go. Lewis, I'm with you all the way here. My X factor today is the offensive line. Looking back at week one, and obviously everybody's, Will Levis, if he doesn't play well, they're going to lose. Yes, that's how quarterbacking works. If the quarterback plays poorly, you usually lose the game. What enables a quarterback to play well is protection and a competent offensive line. And last week, Will Levis was pressured 18 times against the Bears. That was tied for the second most in the entire league. 47.4% of his dropbacks. So almost every other time he was dropping back, he was immediately pressured. We can debate how much of that was on Levis, how much was self-inflicted, which a good chunk of it was. But going back and looking at the film, there was also a good chunk of it that was the pass protection breaking down. The bottom line is this: he's not going to succeed this year if that number does not improve. And against this Jets defensive front, where they're looking at them on Monday night, there were a couple of times in that game where it was like preseason levels of talent on the front for the Jets. Some guys that you've not heard of, and one was a practice squad call up, one was a UDFA rookie, and one was a wayward veteran who's like on his 17th team. You need to be able to protect against those guys. Now, there are some other better players on the Jets defensive line, but they are not deep. And so there's going to be a handful of times today that the Titans offensive line are on paper certainly at an advantage. They need to take advantage of that advantage. And guys like Peter Skoronski, who comes to mind as the most room for improvement from week one, I believe off the top of my head, he allowed 8 pressures by himself in that game. So 8 of the 18 were on Skoronski. He needs a big bounce back game. I expect the offensive line to look better. I think that their arrow is going to be pointing up throughout the first couple weeks of this season because they've got a great coach, and I trust his ability to get his guys ready and improve on the fly. But the offensive line, that is easily my answer for the X Factor today. I think if they can cut that pressure rate in half, you're going to see a much better Will Levis day.
So, Easton, a lot has been talked about with the Jets defense of like, oh my gosh, this is a great Jets defense. And it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think this Titans offensive line has an opportunity to play much better? Because again, the whole word this past week and really throughout the offseason about the Jets, like why the Jets have playoff expectations is not just because of Aaron Rodgers. It's also because of the defensive roster.
Well, I mean, the shining star of this defense is their secondary, and they have really, really strong players. They pretty much disable their opponent's ability to take the top off. And I wish I had this stat pulled up, but I believe the Jets last season were by far the number one team in terms of passing rate, passing percentage, downfield throw completion. I'm paraphrasing there, but the point is that they were better against the pass than pretty much anybody else. If you were to move the ball on them, you were going to be running the ball effectively and or killing them death by a million cuts with little 2-3 yard passes underneath stuff. Now that's in line with what we want to see from Will Levis today, right? We want to see that patient, boring football. And so we'll see if he takes advantage of that. One note, by the way, on that fantastic secondary with the inactives came out a couple of minutes ago. The Jets are going to be without DJ Reed, which is everybody knows Sauce Gardner. DJ Reed, a really, really strong corner on this team. He was one of 4 players to play all of the defensive snaps on Monday Night Football for the Jets. So that's a ton of snaps that they're missing. He was their cornerback 2. The new cornerback 2 today is either going to be Brandon Eccles, who's a smaller slot corner, rookie Quantez Stiggers, who had 1 total snap in his first game, or Jarek Bernard Converse, who had 4 total snaps all of last season. So whoever Sauce is not on today, D-Hop, Ridley, Boyd, Burks, they're going to be at an advantage. You're going to have to take advantage of that.
If I were the Jets, I would put Sauce Gardner on Calvin Ridley and then make DeAndre Hopkins prove that he's healthy.
Yep.
And Brian Callahan said like, he was not on the injury report. It's a very interesting thing. And we talked a lot of MCL last week on top of talking a lot of Will Levis last week. And so I think, and Malachi asked, does Sauce follow? Yes. If you're Ron Slay, Sauce follows Ron Slay wherever he is eating food. But does Sauce Gardner follow receivers? I mean,
he does shadow, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So he's shadows.
Not always, but in certain games and matchups, and I'd imagine today's one of those.
I would if I were the Jets. So your X factor here for X Golf, Nashville, Murfreesboro, playxgolf.com is the Titans offensive line allowing for more opportunity. Look, the Niners damn near ran for 200 yards against the Jets last week on Monday. So the Titans ran the ball effectively. Both Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears averaged over 5 yards a carry. Can they recreate some of that here at Nissan Stadium here coming up in about 12 to 15 minutes? My X factor, Easton, I'm going to flip it to the Titans defense. And this is I'm curious to see your reaction and your take on my X factor.
Okay.
Limiting the hidden yards. And the hidden yards can come in many different ways against the Jets. I think one, the Titans need to tackle in the open field very well because you have a guy like Breece Hall and you have a really good receiver in Garrett Wilson. I think I trust the Titans on the front end of the defensive snap on playing well, being on your guy, guarding, and being in your run fits initially. But it's what happens after one of those skill guys makes a player miss that creates hidden yards of, maybe you could have had Breece Hall at the line of scrimmage, but somehow he was able to twist and fall forward to gain 3 to 4. And so it's limit those hidden yards, tackling well in the open field, because that puts Aaron Rodgers it puts Aaron Rodgers in throwing situations. And that's where I think the Titans can thrive, is knowing it's going to be a pass versus not knowing if it's a run. And the other way there are hidden yards are the Aaron Rodgers hard count. You have to stay so disciplined because we saw it Monday night. Aaron Rodgers hard count had a free play. He takes advantage of free plays a lot down the field, and you cannot allow him to do that. So it's limiting the hidden yards for the Titans defense and that is open field tackling and not letting Aaron Rodgers have a free play to either beat you for a lot of yards or at the very least give him 5 extra yards in a better down and distance situation.
Yeah, I don't think that's crazy at all. I think that's absolutely fair. That's an interesting way to approach it. And with Rodgers, the Rodgers side of that, I think, is the most fascinating because going back and watching some of his tape late in the week, I was more impressed by him than my initial feeling on the broadcast. I thought that he played a relatively good game for his first game back in a long time. He is a statue back there. And we talked all week with the Titans players and coaches about his crazy time to throw. I believe he was 3rd fastest in the league in week 1 to get the ball out. He's not moving super well. He's old and he just came off an Achilles injury, so that's not super surprising. But the Titans defensive front, they batted, I think it was 3 batted balls against the Bears in week 1. They need to have that kind of performance again this week, getting those hands up in a hurry. And the secondary is going to have to play aggressive, play press man. Like don't let guys get open in a hurry, which the Titans are built to do. So on paper, it's an advantageous matchup for them. But the hidden yards element of it, I think, is a clever way to look at it.
Yeah, because it's like, if you press early, then you make Aaron Rodgers have to hold on to the ball a little longer, which makes him uncomfortable, allows your pass rush to have more opportunity to win. Like the Harold Landry sack, I want to say the Harold Landry sack on Caleb Williams was like 4 seconds after the snap.
It was long. It was on a big looping stunt.
Right, but it worked. Why? Because you locked him down and you made Caleb Williams hold the football. Now, you're not going to disguise coverages against Aaron Rodgers like you did after the snap or before the snap against Aaron Rodgers. So you have to be very uptight and very good off the top of the snap. And then if you're going to throw early, then there's more opportunity for short yak opportunities after a catch. So you have to make sure you're in position to tackle well and to not let a 3-yard pass turn into a 10-yard gain or even an 8-yard gain to put him in 2nd and 2. Then Aaron Rodgers has you where he wants you. So that's my situation, my X factor right there. I did see a comment. I think you favorited this one, Easton, early on in the show. Chandler and some others have asked, what's the forecast in Nashville today? Gorgeous.
I spent all morning scheming on how can I move my desk outside for today. It didn't work, but I was thinking about it all morning. Yeah.
Yes. It's perfect outside. Like there is no rain. There was a bunch of rain the last couple of days, but not right now and not today. It's going to be like 75 to 83-ish during the game. Maybe it's a lot of sunshine. I don't know if it's going to be hot or not, but they waste
more humid than hot today. Yeah,
for sure. And like the Titans probably increased their water bill unnecessarily this past week by just using the hoses and the water guns at practice.
They did.
And now it's just perfect out there.
Right.
So they got the wet ball work in for another week. It is not this week because it is beautiful outside. All right, Easton, it is now time. You got something else to add before?
Yeah, just one last note for, we've talked about how the Sauce Gardner tendency is to follow with Ridley. I think something for Titans fans to watch on the Titans defensive side of the ball. Certainly watch for Snead to shadow Garrett Wilson. Outside of Wilson, they don't really have a super scary receiver. It's like Allen Lazard, which if you can't shut down Allen Lazard, you probably deserve to lose a game. But Snead has shadowed Wilson before. An interesting note from week 1, Rodgers targeted Wilson on 70% of his routes when he was covered in off coverage, and only 28.6% of his routes against press. So you're going to want to see Snead shadow him all day in press. He did it before last year in week 4. Snead lined up opposite Wilson in that Monday Night Football game. I believe it was Monday night. 60% of his routes. So shadowed him for most of the game. Half of those 24 snaps were in press man, and Wilson finished the game with 9 catches for 60 yards, no touchdowns. Was a really impressive performance by Snead. We heard Snead this week talk about how he felt like he had a pretty crappy week 1. Right. He's going to need to, by his own standards, have a pretty strong week 2 to shut down Garrett Wilson, or Aaron Rodgers is going to find him.
No, it's a great numbers right there. So we'll see if L'Jarius Snead does what the Titans pay him to do. Real quick, King VC, lock in, like the show. Like the show, it's game day. Come on, hit that like button if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. It is now officially time to get to our pregame predictions presented by our longtime friends at BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app. Use our code ATOZ Sports, and you get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. That's for new users. For existing users, just open the app and you're going to have tokens galore, whether they're odds boost tokens for Pro Football Today, parlay boost tokens, There's some no sweat parlay tokens. I took advantage of that yesterday in college football as well, but they've got them for pro football today. So open up your BetMGM app and you've got tons of things to play with today's slate. So we're going to get to some score predictions. So if you've got score predictions in the chat, drop them in here right now. We want to hear them. But Easton, do you have anything you're playing at BetMGM today?
I do. I have a couple things, and I'll be real quick because I know we're running out of time here. But what do you, by the way? Because I'm definitely going to.
I do.
Because I know what one of yours is. I'm going to steal it. So you do yours first.
Okay. I have 2 Tajay Spears plays. That's
yeah. Okay. So yeah, get the Tajay out of the way.
But actually, I did not play the receiving yards total. I did not. Okay. It went up to 16.5. I decided to not do that because I don't, the passing yards are so tough. I did take Tajay Spears over 23.5. I took it on Friday when Sam and I talked about this, and it was minus 110. I checked this morning. It's still 23.5 rushing yards. I would take Tajay's over 23.5 rushing yards at minus 120. I also like Tajay Spears anytime touchdown at plus 225. I think there's good value there for Tajay to get in the end zone at plus 225. So those are my 2 bets here on BetMGM today.
Yeah, so my bets at BetMGM, I knew you were going to go that way, so I went with a variation. Also on Tajay, I like is just over 44.5 rush plus reception, just total scrimmage yards. I think it wouldn't be crazy. We heard this week they want to get him more involved. It wouldn't be crazy to me that it's in the running or passing game. So whichever one it's going to be, you're on it there with a combined. And then I did a little rushing parlay. Breece Hall. He's only rushed for 75 or more yards 5 times over the past 2 seasons. His number today is 75.5. I think the Titans' rush defense is pretty strong already. If he's going to be running successfully, it's going to be around the edge and not up the middle. So I'm thinking Breece Hall under 75.5 rush. Tajay Spears over 24.5 rushing yards. And then the third leg here is Will Levis over 11.5. You've seen a trend as more and more teams are the too high coverage from defenses is at an all-time high rate. It's making the efficiency of quarterback scrambling. Quarterback scramble is by far not close, statistically the most efficient play in all of football right now. Teams are taking more advantage of it. Will Levis can get that in 1 or 2 plays. And we talked all week about how he doesn't really care about getting down. He's just going to get the extra yards. Get him if he's gonna do it, at least make some money off of it. So that's my thought there. Parlay those 3 things, and then here's a little bonus Titans adjacent bet. Malik Willis, he's playing today, by the way. Malik Willis, he's gonna be wearing green. Yeah. Under 164.5 passing yards. I can't believe his number's that high. He started 3 games in his career. He's never eclipsed 100 passing yards. So I like this number all day long.
That's a great bet. Is that a noon game?
That is a noon game, I think. So get on it. Hurry.
2.5 minutes to do that. So run to do that. All right, guys. Predictions here from the chat. Guy says 28-10 Jets. Kevin says 23-17 Titans. Orlando 25-20 Titans. Corey 24-13 Titans, admitting the bias there. Robbie says 21-18 Titans. Easton, I'll continue to show these predictions from the chat. What is your score prediction here for Titans and Jets at Nissan Stadium today?
I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be relatively low scoring. The total's at like 41-42. I'm going to go 21-20. The Jets pull it out. A tough one, but the Titans look better in losing this week.
Okay, 21-20 is your prediction. There are way more Titans predictions here, obviously, in a Titan pregame show. That makes a lot of sense.
I respect the optimism.
I do want to update this poll real quick because we asked who is this who has more to lose with an 0-2 start? Will Levis, 55% of the votes. Aaron Rodgers, 45% of the votes. Both of us went Aaron Rodgers. I think the Jets do win this game. I also agree with you. I think it's very low scoring. I think 20-17. Jets pull it out over the Tennessee Titans. So 20-17.
So we both think the Titans cover that 3.5 number.
Yes, that's true. Tight. That's true. Yeah. And did you see what I did? Did you see what I did with the Titans score?
Oh, 17 points. Yeah, you're a bad person for that. Let's not.
Look,
I just don't want to hit 17. You know what I mean? If you get to 17, go for 2 or miss the field. Do something to avoid the number 17 would be nice.
If you score a touchdown, you're sitting at 16. You're saying go for 2 to get to 18.
Just go for 2. Just either sit at 16 or 18.
Then you can kick a field goal and get the 19.
Whatever it is, just don't hit 17.
Just something. All right. That's it for us. We'll be right here at halftime, the same spot, Facebook and YouTube, Titans Game Day Live. I want to thank all of our great friends here that are working with the show this week. It is X Golf Nashville and Murfreesboro. PlayXGolf.com. BetMGM, as you guys know, use our code ATOZ Sports up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. And T-Dot, when nobody trashes Tennessee, especially on game day, to help out with the litter problem across the state. Visit nobodytrashestennessee.com. For Easton, I'm Austin. We'll see you guys here in about an hour and a half at halftime. Appreciate it as always, and enjoy the first half of Titans Jets.